Welcome, everyone, to another edition of A Conversation With. Here on Keyboard Kimura, I am E. Spencer Kyte, joined today by Aiemann Zahabi, a good friend, a longtime friend, someone that as soon as I got this show back, brought this show back, he was on the list of people that I had to get on the show. We've got a fight coming up out here in Vancouver in a couple of weeks. It felt like the right time to bring you on, reached out, you said yes, here we are. Thank you for doing this, my friend. How are you?
Great. My pleasure, man. Excited to be here.
So we start the show the same way every time. And it's interesting to me because for all the years that we've known each other, I don't think I've ever asked you this question.
Tell me.
But when did you fall in love with combat sports?
Oh, I was a teenager, actually. Actually, at first I didn't love it. I was forced to go.
Okay, so we'll get into this.
I was forced to go in. Well, my dad wanted me to go because I was going to high school, and he was worried about bullies and stuff like that. So when Firas was going to the gym, and my dad's like, "Firas, take your brother with you so he can learn how to protect himself in case and build confidence." Just blah 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 for high school. So I started going, and at first, man, it sucked going, because when I started, when I was younger, 13, 14. It was there was no young kids at Tristar. It was all older guys in their mid-20s, to 30s. So nobody wanted to train with me. The only guy who was looking forward to training with me was Firas. That's it. I was tiny. I was like 120 pounds wet. I was tiny, skinny little guys, 5 foot tall. I had nothing going for me physically wise. So, I felt like out of place a little bit. But then as I got good, because Firas was training with me all the time, then I started to really like it because the older guys needed my help with the technique, right? Because Firas would drill all the time with me. So then I caught up real quick, and I started, getting much better than most people. So then I got kind of like an assistant coach role. Then I started really liking it.
Okay, so it's once it gets going well, we get we get excited. That's understandable. I'm the same way with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
When did or how did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu become the family business? Because obviously, people know your brother, Firas Zahabi, and Tristar Gym. You have another brother, Ahmad, Alex, who runs Brazilian Burlington BJJ.
That's right.
It is a family business. It is a family gig. Zahabi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
How did this come about? How did we get from where we were, what mom and dad did, the family business, whatever that was, to now the family business is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and coaching athletes?
Yeah, well, my brothers started training when they were much younger than I did. Like, they started at like 5. My dad was putting them in karate. And same reason. He knew that they were going to go to school, and he wasn't sure how it was going to go. He didn't want them to get bullied, whatever, at different time. So they started with karate. And then as they grew older, my parents moved from Montreal to Laval. And then, they left that karate school. They went to another school. And the new karate school wasn't, I don't know, as good to my dad's liking. Like, he didn't like it as much. It wasn't as competitive or as tough, or I don't know what happened. But some reason he didn't like it as much anymore. I don't know. I wasn't even born. And then he put them into Muay Thai, and they met Master Peter, the late, great Master Peter.
The late, great Master Peter. God rest his soul.
And my brothers were training with Master Peter in 1989.
Wow.
Which is, I still have a picture of when they first started training there. It's incredible. Incredible how long this guy's been a part of the family. So they started with him, and then eventually Firas started doing some BJJ after the first UFCs. So when the first UFC came out, nobody thought Royce Gracie was going to win it, man.
Right.
And neither did Firas. Okay,
right.
We were young, man. We didn't think that this guy, he looks small compared to everyone else. He's not really that small of a guy. But compared to everybody else, we didn't think he had a chance, and he won. And then when they were going to do the second UFC, and we saw the poster of Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie, we're like, this time Ken's going to get him. He's got this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he wins again. And then that was it. We're looking for jiu-jitsu. Like, Firas was like, okay, you know what? We got to find a jiu-jitsu coach. I don't care what it takes, blah, blah, blah. So we started going from different jiu-jitsu schools, trying to find the right guy. And then we ended up with Angelo Xerxakis, who was a BJJ purple belt under Renzo Gracie, but he was the highest ranked belt that we could find in the city.
Right.
So that's how it started for us. And then my brother Ahmed came in later, and he started training in a different location downtown. By the time he started training, there was an actual black belt in Montreal, who was Wagner Fabiano.
Yep.
So that's, so then we started training with Wagner a little bit, because then Angelo was a really smart businessman, and his business started taking off. So he was teaching a little bit less and less, and then we were training a little bit more with Wagner, and then eventually Angelo passed the torch to Firas for Tristar. So then Firas took over the Tristar team.
So what's the age range between the three of you? What's the difference in ages?
I think
the gap between everybody.
Aieman's like 12 years older than me.
Okay.
Or 12 or 13, and then Firas is 8 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you had to watch older brothers going and doing stuff, and you were the dragged along to the gym.
I was dragged on.
Eventually got into it.
Like for me, like I didn't start training early, but still, like we wrestled. Like we did so much WWF when I was young. Ladder matches, tag team matches, because we're 4 brothers. I had a million cousins, so we always wrestled and did funny stuff, like we had.
Wait, there's a 4th brother.
There's a 4th brother. He doesn't really train.
Doesn't do train. Okay.
Like he used to train when he was younger, but when he got older, he didn't do as much. Yeah. So he was a killer, like young. But
what would the tag teams be?
It was me and Frost getting a beating. No, okay. No, we'd mix it up. The different ages, because the 2 older brothers are only a year apart, and Frost is like 4 years younger than them.
Right.
Maybe 3 and a bit, 4 years younger than them.
Okay.
Yeah. So we mix it up. And
then the baby of the bunch.
I'm the baby, and then my cousins also, like when they would come over, we'd wrestle and stuff. So we had a lot of like boys will be boys type basement.
For sure. Happened in the Kyte house as well.
Yeah.
And there was only 2 of us.
Yeah.
What's it like for you growing up, coming up, teenage years, early 20s at Tristar, in that facility around greatness? Obviously George is there, but lots of other fighters are coming through. Your brother's starting to have success as a coach, gain recognition as a coach. What's that like for you being around it, and what did it do for your desire to pursue mixed martial arts and coaching yourself as a career?
Oh man, it was a blast for me. It was really good. Like once I finally got good, I started holding pads for some of the amateurs as for us as assistant coach, right? So he would focus more on the pro. He would still work with the amateurs for sure, but there's always more amateurs than there are pros, right? So then I would start helping out the amateurs and work their way up to the amateur leagues. And then the pros started wanting me, because then for us started having so many pros, and for us had to leave the country so often.
Right.
So then I started traveling with some of the guys, and I started cornering, like the Canadian title fights and things like that. And then started cornering guys in the UFC. By the time I was 18, I was cornering some guys in the UFC already. 2021, I was cornering Miguel Torres, Yves Jabouin, David Loiseau, so many big names. And I've made that walk to the UFC since I was young, which is really nice. So it really helped me with my butterflies. But I still get a lot of butterflies still. But, it was a nice transition. And then when I was like 21, I was in university, and I went to Frost's room, and I was like, man, listen, I think I'm going to take my chance. If I can get to UFC before 30, I'll stick to it. If I don't get to UFC by 30, I'll just go back to university. I'll get a degree, get a regular job. I'm like, let me use my 20s to like take a shot, live the dream. If I can live the dream, why not? If I can live it. So then that's kind of what I did. He said, it's a great idea. Let's do it. So then I pulled out of school, and I decided to go pro.
And how old were you when you got the UFC call?
I was like 29. Something. It was close. It took some
time. It took some time.
It took time, man. Because also UFC, not UFC, sorry, but MMA was like banned for a few years.
Yep.
After I went pro, I did Slam 1.
Right.
And then no more UFC.
This is what I was going to get into.
No more MMA.
You and I have known each other since before your pro debut.
Yeah.
And back in the, as you said, cornering Miguel Torres and Yves Jabouin and guys like that. It was difficult coming up in the sport in Quebec because it was there for a while and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And shows would sort of come and turn up and be here for an event and then not.
Yeah.
And then also you throw in, his last name's Zahabi, he trains at Tristar.
Yeah.
What was it like trying to accumulate that experience so that you're actually comfortable with where your skills are at, not just, hey, I think I'm good enough to do this and I'm going to get by because of who I am and where I am, but to gain that actual in-cage experience to test those things?
It was tough because, I have no titles, man. I have no titles, man. I was trying to trying to build up, try to get title fights in the amateurs and things like that. It was not happening for me, man. It was tough. And, I did some jiu-jitsu tournaments. That was good. I did some wrestling tournaments. I won the provincials in wrestling. I've won some jiu-jitsu tournaments and things like that, which was good. But when it came to fighting amateur MMA, it was very hard. Even like my first couple of fights, they were tough, man. Were tough to get. I mean, like very tough to put together. In a sense, even when I was going to Muay Thai, like my first Muay Thai fight, I was 0-0 and I was fighting a guy 5-1. It wasn't easy to like put a couple of fights together. But I get it. I did put a lot of time in since I was like 13, 14, 15, 16. Like I was training a lot. Like I was training once a day, obviously, because I was going to high school. But then by the time I went to college, Vanier College, CJEP here, I was training twice a day almost every day. Because, you can make your own schedule. So I schedule early in the morning, go train in the afternoon, come back, train again. Train at like daytime, like noontime, and then afternoon in the evening,
Right.
So I was trying to put even more work in. And then, the word gets around, when you're working hard, people know. And then I'm cornering a lot of big names and I'm holding pads for everybody and people see me traveling and stuff. So it built kind of like this boogeyman reputation, but I just needed the experience to capitalize on all the training, So I feel like that's my missing link.
As you're going through it and as you're trying to get those fights, are you hearing from promoters, coaches in the city, other people around that, look, here's the reason why it's not happening? Or is it just kind of like quiet and nobody's speaking about it? You're just not getting opportunities.
Yeah, I just don't think nobody was really telling me anything. We were just trying our best to find something. And like, I never believed in the hype myself. You know what I mean? I just wanted to go out there and do it. And like the way I understand it is that because I wasn't fighting a lot, I was a question mark.
Right.
Whereas if you're a really good fighter, but you have 100 fights, people are not afraid to fight you. Why? Because they've seen you do it. They have tape. Right. They can study you. They can try to
figure out all the things that they can do.
But if you're this ghost, people don't want to take that risk. That's what it was. It wasn't because I was actually so good and I'll KO you with one touch or kiss of death type thing. It was the unknown, I feel like.
Right. Yeah. Well, an unknown from a big gym, famous last name and a famous brother and training partners, and he's coached in the UFC and all of these things.
Yeah.
One of the things I know that Tristar has always sort of had for emerging fighters, and Firas has always sort of stressed and drilled into people, is, as you mentioned, go and do jiu-jitsu tournaments, compete in Muay Thai, compete in wrestling, compete in the amateurs. How did that sort of program get implemented? Where did that come from? And what was it? How beneficial was it for you to go through that and gain all of those individual discipline skills to then bring it all together now once you're pro and pursuing the career itself?
Well, the idea behind that started because there wasn't a lot of shows, right? That's the reason,
Yeah.
right? So we have no choice. If you want experience, you got to go out there. You got to, get burned by the fire type of thing. You know what I mean? You got to go out there and do it. There's nothing else more valuable than going out there and doing it. You can learn all the skills you want, but if you learn from a book, you can never apply it in real life. You got to go out there. It's trial and error. You got to fail it. You got to win. You got to lose. So that's how we came up with the idea. And then obviously, small time shows don't make a lot of money. So, shows come up, they go out of business, up and down, left and right. So you have to fill in with these tournaments. Tournaments are more likely to make money than MMA promotions, amateur or pro. Even the amateurs, they don't make that much money for a show, right? You make okay, but nothing crazy. And there's a lot of work and a lot of cancellations and a lot of drama. Fighters are demons, coaches, all this stuff. It's not easy to juggle all this. There's a lot of egos, a lot of tests, a lot of testosterone in our world, so it's not easy to put together. So that's why we decided to do our best to put the guys in different things. Even now, we still keep that tradition. But like, I'm sure you've heard, BJJ has been banned in Quebec for like 6-7 years now. Right. I don't even know how long it's been. Finally, they're bringing it back, jiu-jitsu. I can't believe it. So hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have a jiu-jitsu tournament in Quebec. And then we're going to start our own jiu-jitsu promotions. For us, it's promoting it now. It's called Pure. Sub only, no time limit, man.
Nice.
And then we're going to start our own show. We're going to try to get guys experience. That's what we got to do. We're going to start doing our own shows to get guys give guys a chance.
Well, then events themselves, like promotions themselves. I know obviously we're recording on Friday, May 26th. Your brother is off at the Samurai show this weekend.
Yeah.
But like, Samurai has held a few events, but it's
Yeah.
kind of hit and miss here and there.
Yeah.
TKO was around early, disappeared for a long time, came back.
Yeah.
Don't know where it is right now.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of, that's the state of things in Canada. And you, during your early professional days, were even coming out here out west to get some stuff, not all the way out west out here, but fighting in Alberta. It just, the landscape in Canada is really difficult right now.
Yeah.
What was it like for you? And now, as somebody that's in the gym, seeing others aspiring, how difficult has it been watching these guys trying to pursue this dream, trying to pursue this craft, and just not having opportunities?
Yeah, it hurts, man. It hurts for the guys. It hurts for us because, you know, they're having the same problem I have because it's so hard to build up. We're getting to the big show later in age, you know.
Right.
So our experience is in the gym, not really in the fight, right? So it's hard. And a lot of guys, you know, obviously this sport doesn't pay super, super well. It's not like the NBA or the NHL, but eventually it's going to get there. It's, you know, eventually over time, I believe it will, because, you know, back in the day, the guys, you know, like IFC and things like that in Montreal, these guys used to get paid $50, you know, like they can buy a trio at McDonald's after.
Right.
And now it's a lot better with the UFC and PFL and Bellator and all these leagues and stuff like that. It's getting better, and I feel like it'll get better in the future. But we're still in the growth phase. You know, and that's the truth. And that's not a knock on any league and stuff like that. But that's the truth. It's in a growth phase. And these guys, you know, after a while, you know, they want to make money by 27. You know, their friends have finished university. They're in their careers. They're making 60, 70K a year. And these guys can barely put 2 fights in a year, you know.
Right.
If you're in a league that's not UFC, Bellator, PFL, whatever, you're making, you know, $1,000, $2,000. I don't even know, you know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really, really tough. I want to preface this by saying, listen, if there was no pressure, then just tell me there was no pressure. But the last name is Zahabi.
Yeah.
As you're getting into it, as you're growing, you're getting a little bit of a profile because people see you in the corner.
Yeah.
What's it like growing up being Firas Zahabi's younger brother and pursuing a similar path and following sort of this trail that he's blazed a little bit in terms of the family name, to then try to do it yourself?
Yeah, it's great. It's good and bad. I mean, there's good and bad in everything. Nothing in life is all good. I mean, it's nice because it opens a lot of doors because, you know, he's got a lot of connections. So we have a lot of good friends who are good at a lot of different martial arts. So I get a lot of great training. A lot of people come through the door at Tristar, which is beautiful. Yeah, on the other side, it was like hard for me to, you know, stack fights together early, amateur wise. That was tough. You know, always pressure. Like if I didn't win by finish early on, it was like shocking, you know. And when I went in the UFC, even like my first decision win against Reginaldo Vieira at the UFC, I still thought it was a great fight, man.
It's a good fight.
Like,
it's a fun fight.
Only 6 fights. He had like almost 30. I don't know, 20 something fights.
Yeah.
And he just won the Ultimate Fighter. And then like, I thought I did a great job. I rocked him once. I dropped him. You know, I rocked him again in the third. I heard him in every round. You know, like I cartwheeled out of a double leg. I did all this thing, but then like the reviews were just like bashing me, you know, because I didn't go out there and smoke him early, easily.
Right.
So, you know, like I had to deal with stuff like that. And then it was tough because like, even with the Ramos fight, like, okay, the first round I feel like I was up ahead. And when he took me down at the end of the round and like took my back for the last like 20 seconds, like, okay, maybe he went for round 1. But then round 2, I completely shut down all wrestling. And I was hitting him with the jab and the uppercut, and I was beating him on the feet. Like easily round 2 was mine. And then round 3 came out, and I just started walking him down, and then I got hit with the elbow. You know, and then everyone,
we'll get to Ricardo Ramos.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
You know, they bashed me, and it was hard, and everyone counted me out, and all this stuff. And I had to come back, and I lost again after because I was a shell of myself. You know, I was going through all 2 years of literal mental hell.
We will get to that. We will get to that. I'm going to bookmark that.
Good and bad. You know, everything is good and bad.
Was there expectations? What was Firas's position on it? Like as an older brother, as a sibling, is he encouraging you to do it? You mentioned obviously you go to him, you know, when you're at Vanier and say, look, I think I'm going to press pause on this and come and try this. Is he supportive? Is he drill instructor of like, okay, if you're going to do it, this is the way it's going to go, and you're going to follow these rules. It's going to be like this. What's the reaction from him, and what's the guidance from him as you're pursuing this?
I mean, the high stress, I stress for him for sure. I mean, he's also kind of like a father figure too, you know. So like he's been watching over me since I'm born, you know, and basically like it's very stressful for him, and but he does invest in his time in me a lot, you know. He makes sure that I get my pads in and I have all my stuff together. And if I need a training partner to be brought in, we'll bring him in. We fly them out. We take care of them. I pay some, he pays some, or we try to find a sponsor to bring somebody in. Like he's always working on, making it the best possible experience for me in that sense. But I also get the harshest for us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sometimes they say
Yeah.
like being family is good, but sometimes it's the worst. So it's like, man, it's a brutality sometimes, but it's for my benefit, right? Because he'd rather give me the brutality in the room than in that I get hurt. I think me getting knocked out, like obviously it crushed me. Like it hurt a lot because like I thought I was doing so well in that fight, but I'm sure like he didn't like it either, and he doesn't want to see that again, right? So I'm sure there's a lot of it comes from a good place. The stress that he puts on the training, it comes from a really good place, and he works very hard into making sure that I have the right game plan and everything's set perfectly.
Were there any points along the way where there's been obviously there's been friction between
Every
the two
day,
of
man.
you at times, but have there been any like we need to take a break from each other points?
No.
Or is it always like fine, we're tense, we're friction, but we're always here?
In our culture, there's a hierarchy, and you can't break the hierarchy. You're in the culture, So
Right.
In the end, I just I can see his older brother. I give up, he's always the benefit of the doubt. In the end, like my brother's the type, even if you're not his brother, he's always looking for the fighter's best interest. He doesn't care. Like, and Firas is the last person to care about money, man. Ask any fighter who's ever worked with him, man. He never chases a dollar. You know what I mean? So, his priority is putting fighters in there, having them do their best, and then coming out to their friends and family, with the least amount of damage possible. And that's why the fighters, they love Firas. That's what they respect about him. He just wants them to be able to do it for as long as they want. He's not throwing them in there to rack up their miles and destroy their bodies and destroy their lives. No. We're going in there as martial artists to win with the least amount of damage and with the best strategy, to finish the fight. Like Firas wants us to finish the fights, but sometimes the fights are hard to finish, man.
Yeah.
Like when I got ready for that Draco fight, the whole conversation was, we're not finishing this guy. This guy hasn't been put away.
Right.
He got put away once out of fatigue in his first 5-round fight. He got TKO'd, but he wasn't really stopped.
Right.
So we're like, man, just put it in your head. This guy can be hit with a kitchen sink. You hit him with a baseball bat. He ain't going out. So be ready 15 minutes. But, okay, these are the opportunities to hurt him bad. And this is how we're going to hurt him. And this is what you got to look for. And then we practice those things. And then it came out. It came out. That's what it is.
Yeah. One of the things you and I have talked about throughout your career over the years is fighting for you is passion. It is self-expression. It is desired pursuit, but it's not necessarily for financial end. That's not to say you don't like winning bonuses. That's not to say you don't like getting those UFC paychecks, but it's not the thing that necessarily is wholly about putting food on the table for you.
Yeah.
How important has that been for you in allowing this to be something that doesn't become all-consuming and threatening in a way, if that makes sense, where your family's good, the bills are taken care of, but I can now pursue this passion that I have.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be taking fights every 4 months, 6 months, 8 months. You've been able to take some time away to deal with injuries and life events and things of that nature as well. What has that been like in this pursuit of this goal?
I mean, it's got its ups and downs. Like for me, I live within my means, we grew up, more poor. My father immigrated here when he was, in the 70s, he came here. So like, we didn't grow up with everything, we grew up good. We grew up okay. My dad provided super well. Like, he did a great job. And so I've always been, very cognizant of my finances. And obviously my older brothers, they pass down their knowledge too. And my older brother is really good with money, and for us too, and all these guys. So we learn to live within our means, and, to always have a nest egg on the side and be ready for emergencies. And, I take my private seriously. I teach, privates, and I raise money, and, I work, have a small little business on the side too that I do. And I'm trying to secure myself financially, and that's the only reason why I've been able to stick it out for so long, right? Because I'm
Right.
responsible. I try to live a responsible life, and I got wife and kids now, so it's nice that when Jericho missed weight and Sean Shelby offered me a new deal. I thank him a lot for that, because it helped me obviously continue to be able to do what I want. And then obviously I got the bonus that night, so that really put me
And you
in a
got a little
great
bit of
position.
his money.
Yeah,
It's
I got a little
great.
bit of his money.
It's a
Yeah, I
good
got a little bit of
night.
his money. It was a great night. It really turned things around, made things a lot easier for me. So things have worked out. Obviously winning helps, but sponsors are scarce. But I'm doing my best, and I'm hoping that with 3 wins in a row, like now it's going to be smooth sailing. It's going to be great. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And my wife's super supportive, and she totally understands. I call her my biggest sponsor. She's a hardworking lady. She works very hard. She's great. She's very sweet, and we have each other's backs. Yeah.
I mean, listen, my wife is my biggest sponsor as well.
Yeah.
100%. I wouldn't be sitting here in the middle of the afternoon on a Friday
Yeah.
if she wasn't on board and signing off on this stuff. So I understand completely.
Yeah.
Before we get into more fighting stuff, we get into some more kind of fun, just general stuff.
Yeah.
What is the one unknown talent of Aiemann Zahabi that people would be surprised with? Sort of a passion? Are you a cook? Are you a great singer? Can you dance? Like, what do we got?
What do we got? I don't know. I'm pretty good at Street
Anything?
Fighter, man.
That's all right.
I'm pretty good at Street Fighter, I guess. I don't know. Many talents. I don't know. I love playing soccer. I'm pretty good at that.
Okay.
My cooking skills are brutal. I can make one dish really good.
Okay. What's the one dish?
It's chicken larp. I don't know if you've ever had it. If we ever have an opportunity, I'll make it for you. You know how I learned how to cook it? I was in Thailand for 5 weeks with my friends. And I tasted it one time, and I ordered every day. And I just watched him make street food right on the street. The guy was making it every day. I was just watching him every day. I was like, man, I have to learn how to make this every day. I have to. Then when I came back, I just took a chance. I started making it better and better and better. And that's my dish, man. That's my dish. And
you've been refining it over the years.
Yeah.
Now
it's amazing.
20 years of.
When people have that, they're shocked. They think it's made in a restaurant. I'm telling you.
All right. Fair enough. What is the go-to spot for you in Montreal? What is the go-to food? What is the thing you have to have when we're not in camp, or when this fight is done here in a few weeks out in Vancouver, you get home, Aiemann Zahabi needs to go to fill in the blank. What is it?
I was just telling my wife, we're trying to get a reservation for Joe Beef.
Nice.
That's the place to go, man. That place is amazing.
That's the spot.
Yeah.
All right. What is it that makes Schwartz's so good?
Schwartz?
Yeah.
I've only been there once, man.
Oh my gosh.
I've only been there once. Listen,
you've been there. You live there, and you've been there as many times as I have.
It's good. It's good.
Oh, here we go. This might
good. It's good. I mean, it's good. I like, Dunn's is great too.
All right.
Dunn's is fantastic.
All right. That's true. Dunn's is very good as well.
Yeah.
So we get back to fighting stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned a little earlier, Ricardo Ramos fight.
Yeah.
Knocked out.
Yeah.
First loss. And you took a whole bunch of time.
Yeah.
And you said, wasn't myself in the Vince Morales fight.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of mental struggles.
Yeah.
Walk me through some of it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like after the KO, I was super paranoid. I didn't want to get hit too hard, whatever. Like I didn't want to be one of those guys who's punch drunk and things like that. So I was doing the hyperbaric chamber, and I went to see like some specialists for concussion recovery. And they put me on this protocol, man. And that protocol is slow and steady. They deal with football players all the time when they get concussions. And they told me it's going to be months long, man. It's months long. First, we're going to start slow, and we're going to build you back up slowly but surely. And then they got me up physically, and I thought I was okay mentally. I started upping my sparring intensity over time. And then by the time I got in the cage for the Morales fight, I realized, you know what? I didn't go hard enough in the sparring yet. And I still had some doubts about taking a shot, because, sometimes you see guys, they get knocked out that one time and then that's it. They're just gone. And then after my Morales fight, I was looking for the answer. And I read this book called The Tools, and I learned these mantras about I love the pain will set me free. I love the fear will set me free. I was having a lot of talks with my friends, and then one of my friends, he pointed out that, these guys, like, like Muhammad Ali and a couple other guys who've had, who've fallen off mentally from the concussions or whatever, they're the exceptions, not the rule. Like, a lot of fighters retire pretty okay mentally.
Right.
They retire okay. Okay, yeah, they're terrible with their finances. They're not highly educated. They don't know anything about running a business or blah blah blah. Yeah, those things, okay, for sure. But that has nothing to do with CTE and being knocked out once in a while. Once every blue moon. He's like, and then we're talking about like boxers. Like, boxers get knocked out in training a lot. Like, if you're like a really high ranked boxer and you came up from, like, when you're a kid, I'm sure a lot of these champions are, when they were 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, they must have been knocked out a bunch of times, So, like, a lot of them end up being okay. So I was just trying to, like, figure out, like, yeah, what are the real stats? Like, we don't really know the stats,
right?
Then I was thinking about, like, yeah, I know a lot of retired guys. They're fine,
right?
Most of them are fine. I would say the vast majority are pretty okay. I don't know about how smart they are and how financially educated and how good they are running a business. That's something else. That's different.
Right.
But in terms of, like, mental capacity and stuff, didn't really change, So then I started trying to, like, overcome my fear, right? Overcome my fear. And then I feel like I found that happy middle in the Draco fight. But even then, it wasn't perfect. And then right before the Ricky Tercios fight, JSP came. And it sounds stupid because, like, I see JSP all the time.
Right.
I see him all the time. So it was just I guess the climate or the moment, and I was just open to hear that sentence at that time. I don't know what it was, what the dynamics were to pinpoint it, why it worked for me. But he told me, he's like, look, just be yourself. Don't try to do anything special. Don't be more than yourself. It won't work. And don't be less than yourself. It won't work. So just go in there and be you. Then I was like, man, he's right, man. He's right. Yeah, be myself. Firas tells me that all the time. Firas tells me that all the time.
Sometimes you got to hear it from somebody else, though.
Yeah, but also at the right time. There's like you don't know all the variables that it takes for something to hit. Like, how many times have I seen arm bars, whatever? I don't hit arm bars all the time. I don't hit them all the time. But somebody will catch an arm bar one day, and I see some detail about it that this guy did that maybe I've seen, I just didn't notice, and all of a sudden I can do it. I can do my arm bars even better. I'm just using an example.
Yep.
But yeah, so, like, I don't know, that it just worked for me that night. And then also that week, in Vegas at the Red Rock, preparing for that fight, I realized how much I love it, man. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. And even throughout this camp, like, this camp was tough. Like, it was really hard. Like, we really increased the intensity. And I was just like, man, I love every second of it, man. Like, my body's tired. Training is rough. But there's nothing else I would rather be doing,
So in the 18 months between Ricardo Ramos and Vince Morales, are there points in there where you're sitting down talking to your brother, talking to your wife, talking to your family, your friends?
Yeah.
And maybe we're not doing this anymore. Maybe
Never.
we're just, look, we're fine. I can coach. We've got other businesses on the side. We're okay. No, not walking away at all. It was always
I had to
back.
Make it back, man. I had to make it back, man. It was nerve-wracking, man. Like, it was like after the Vince Morales fight, nobody in the media wanted to give me a chance. It was rough. There was one guy, Daniel, I think his last name is Vreeland. He wrote
Gumby.
One article, man. There was one guy.
Shouts to Gumby.
And he picked me to win. And I read it, I'm like, listen, he picked me. Okay, whatever. Let's see what he says. I want to read it. And he wrote what I saw in Draco, to win. Like, what my path to victory, what I saw, he saw it. So I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, So, and then when I knocked him out, and then everybody came back, then it was just like, it's just an old saying how, like, MMA journalists, they only care about your last fight. They don't care about anything else, man. That's the only thing they remember. It's the only thing they remember. And then that just made me realize that it really doesn't matter what people think. As long as I believe, as long as I stick it out, man, it doesn't matter how much mud they throw. It ain't going to stick. If I keep getting up, I keep washing it off. And I will say, like, let's say, like, for, like, me, Israel Adesanya, listen, I'm not gonna paint my nails and I'm not gonna dress the way he dresses or whatever. But when it comes to understanding the fight game, the mental game of fighting, he knows it, man. He is, the way he talks about fighting, the way he takes his losses, the way he comes back. you know, like I could only wish to be like that, you know. And another good example is Mandel Nalo. You know, he had lost by rear naked choke recently, and the first thing he said was like, "I just want to get back in there, man." And he took a fight like 6 weeks later. I don't know the exact date, but like 6 to 7 weeks right after. And he fought a guy and he beat him in the first round. And like now everyone's talking so highly of him again.
Right.
You know,
now
like,
he's back. Now he's back to being great.
Back on the horse, you know, and like, and then I was talking with Mandel a lot about it, and my brother Firas too. And it's like, you know what, you guys just need more fights, man. Just don't worry about the results. Keep doing the hard work. You guys do hard work. He's like, have confidence in the work, and you will win some and you'll lose some, but you'll climb the ladder as long as you're always, you know, upward trending. You're getting better. You know, we'll keep at it. You know, so then I feel like I don't have much mileage on my body, so I feel pretty good.
Right.
So
yeah,
that sucks.
So you had the couple losses.
Yeah.
It's a stretch between wins. It's a stretch between wins and appearances.
Yeah.
So how good, if you can even put it into words, did first round knockout of Draco Rodriguez feel?
It was incredible, man. Like one of the best feelings of my life. And Israel said it best after he beat Pereira this last time. I wish people could know. I wish people could know, because even my brother.
The number of people that have said that to me, that quote has really resonated for, and especially fighters, right? Yeah, it's become the new thing. I remember a bunch of years ago, Cowboy said it's that drug. It's the drug, and every time you're out here, you're chasing that drug again. That's and now Izzy is the new one. Is the like, I want everybody to feel this once, however, because it's insane.
Yeah, and it's like for us, when I finished the fight, I won the fight, and we went backstage. I started crying. You know, I started bawling in there, and I put my head in a towel. He's like, "Why are you crying?" He's like, "You just won." I'm like, "For us, I went through 2 years of mental hell. Everybody doubted me. Nobody gave me a chance. I stayed a ghost. I just put in the work. You know what I mean? I just did everything I could to come back, climb this mountain." And, you know, like, people didn't tell it to me directly, but I know people maybe wanted me to retire and just be a coach, you know? But like, it wasn't in the cards, man. It was not for me. It wasn't in the cards for me. And I was like, man, how am I going to climb this mountain? Because it's happened to guys before. I know guys who had a lot of potential, you know, to lose one fight. They never make it back.
Right.
You know, one. Sometimes it was close.
Right.
Like, could have went either way. You didn't even get finished.
Right.
You know,
right.
And they're great guys. They're hardworking guys, but just that, like, it's not an easy mountain to climb, you know. And then like coming back and then winning the bonus and getting the new contract before the fight, then all the money came in. It was like written by God, man. Honestly, it was like written for me that night. You know, it was incredible experience, and man, I wish people knew that kind of feeling. That feeling, it's nuts. It's something else.
What were the pieces in there that kept you at it, that kept you pursuing it? Obviously, you don't want to stop. You don't want to walk away, and especially not on 2 losses.
Yeah.
But what else is there that's going on? Who else is there that's saying, look, it's just a setback. We can get through this. We can get to that good feeling again.
For me, I was just like, I'm better than that. And like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like I lost those fights, you know? And they're good guys. I'm not saying they're bad guys. They're good guys, you know? Like, I like Ricardo and Vince, nice guys for sure. And I just feel like a lot of it was my mistakes. You know, they were my fault. Like the KO, I was too egotistical in there, because like after round 1, it was like, okay, it was I thought I was winning early in round 1. Like, I thought I was winning the first half, you know, even almost like a bit more, the large portion of round 1, and then I gave her the end of the round. Fine. And then round 2, I just shut it down. Like, no, I'm shutting everything down that works for you, and I'm going to score. And then round 3, I was like, I'm walking you down. It's like there's nothing left for you. You know, I've taken this over, and I just became egotistical. And I remember when I pushed him, and I can tell he's going to bounce off the cage. I'm like, one more left hook, you're done. And I didn't see that elbow coming, man. And it was just, I got the better of myself. Props to him. He threw the elbow. Like, I know sometimes, like, when I tell this story, like, I don't really mention it, people think I'm just being like, oh, it's a lucky shot. I'm not saying it's a lucky shot. I'm just saying I dropped the ball too, man. Like, he did his half, and I did my half. You know? And with the Vince fight, I thought for sure I won round 1. And I was certain I won round 2. I got the takedown. I landed a back fist. I landed some good stuff, but they didn't give me this 2 out of 3 rounds. And then in round 3, I coasted because I got knocked out in the 3rd round of the previous round because I got too egotistical.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I overcorrected. I don't know if like some people like they don't understand what that is. Like, you don't want to repeat the same mistake. Instead of like doing the right thing, you overdo
go
something.
The other side. Yeah.
You go to the other side, and I shot myself in the foot, and that fight hurt my ego more than the knockout.
More than the knockout, yeah.
Yeah, because at least when the knockout happened, I gave everything I had. Like I was trying to, I was doing everything to finish the fight.
Even and you got caught. Like it's a shot that lands like, and I don't mean got caught as you said. It's not that it's a lucky shot. Ricardo Ramos has now knocked out a few people with back elbows.
Yeah,
so
no, of course.
It's a thing
He's
he does.
Good.
But like you got caught, it's a thing that happens, as opposed to I'm in there and I let off the gas a little bit because I'm in my head and I don't want to, as you said, I overcorrect. And now here I am catching a second straight loss.
Yeah, exactly. And then, it's like I've been doing martial arts my whole life. And the whole point is not the fighting, man. The whole point is self-mastery. That's the point. That's martial arts is that, man. Like, it's about mastering yourself, having control of your body, your mind, and your soul. That's it. That's what you're supposed to have control. How could I not get over my fear, man? That's what it was. That's the coming back was, how can I not get over this, man? How am I so mentally weak that I can't come back? I must come back. Like how am I gonna open a gym? How am I gonna open a gym if I can't break a losing streak, man? How? I must break, at least I gotta break it. I'm not, I don't know how many fights I'm going to win in a row now. Like, I don't know what it is, but it will be what it will be. We don't know the results, but I have to break the losing streak. How can I coach kids, man? How can I look kids in the eye and tell them about coming back from adversity? And I can't come back from adversity, man.
So I need you to walk me through this because I think it is a fantastic point. Yeah. I think it is a very important point that a lot of people maybe don't necessarily think of, but it also, for people, and I mean, I know this about you because we've known each other for well over a decade now.
Yeah.
It reframes you from professional fighter to what I know you describe yourself as, which is martial artist.
Yeah.
So how does that come about for you of, okay, this can't be the end of me for all of those things you said. How do I look somebody else in the eye? How do I tell somebody, no, you've got to fight through this, where right now I can't? And it's just fear that's in my way.
Yeah. And, like, I'll give you an example of like when I was coaching one of my fighters, one of our amateur guys from our team. Okay. His name is, oh my God. His last name is Wallet. Okay. He was a really good fighter. He was coming up with me. Okay. Johnny Wallet. He was really good. Like me and him were kicking ass in amateur. Okay. And he's got a fight out west. Okay. I think it was in Regina. I can't remember exactly where. And we go, me as the coach. He's fighting Johnny Wallet, Mandel Nalo, and Luis Amundakis. And I'm alone. I'm cornering all 3 guys. And the guys are fighting like pretty close to each other. So I'm warming them up, all 3 in the back and whatever, doing all this stuff. And Johnny's up first. And I'm cornering Johnny. He wins round 1. Round 2, super close. Okay. Super close. And the mat was wet on the ground. And it was very slippery because it wasn't the material that we use now.
Right.
It was like more like a tarp type material. I'm talking about a few years ago here, right?
Right.
Like, remember guys used to slip around the
and it's still regional MMA in rural, in like the prairies somewhere. So it's not necessarily
happens. 8 years ago,
That's right.
And he slips and tears his ACL. He finishes the round on his back. So he was like I was pretty certain he lost that round, but I don't know. But I'm pretty sure.
Right.
So he comes back in. I don't know, the ACL's torn though. So he comes back in the corner after round 2. I sit him down. He's like, "Hey man, my ACL's torn." I'm like, "I don't give a shit. Listen to me, man. You won round 1. You lost round 2. You go in there. You take him down. You hold him down for 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. Your ACL's done. If it's done, it's done. We're not leaving here with a loss. We're leaving here with a win. Listen, you're gonna have ACL surgery.
Yeah,
you're gonna have ACL surgery. You want to have it after a loss? You want to have it after a win? What are we doing?
We're leaving with a torn ACL no matter what.
It's done.
Right.
It's done, brother. He's like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, yeah, get back in there. and I was cornering him with somebody else from another team that he worked with a little bit. Okay, from another team. And when I told him to go back in there, he's like, he just told you his knee's torn. I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Listen, we're going to leave here with a win. Because he's going to, when he looks back and he asks me, hey, man, why didn't you let me go out there and take my chance? I'm going to tell him I did, man. I let you go back in there and I let you fight it out. You know, why? Because everything else is fine. You know, you're better than this guy. We're going to beat him. He went out there, took the guy down, held him down for 4 minutes, man. Won the round, won the fight, had ACL surgery. Yeah, okay. But he won, you know.
Right.
He won. And then, you know, then after that, you know, other things happened, whatever. He ended up retiring from MMA, but he went on a win, bro. He went out on a win. He didn't go out on a loss, you know. And I'm sure that's a great story to tell. Whenever he has kids, he can tell that story, you know. So who am I to walk away after 2 losses? And I'm telling these guys this kind of advice, and I can't take my own advice. I can't muster up the courage to get back in there, you know. It's kind of I would have to retire from coaching, man. If I was done on like that, I'd have to retire. You know, at least now I've come back from adversity.
Right.
You know, so now when I tell these guys, they can't tell me anything. They can't. Right. I've done it, man. I've lived it, man. When it's time for me to be a coach, I can do it with pride now, which is nice. You know, I've set up my retirement in a way, kind of thing. You know, I didn't go off in the wind like, you know, you start coaching up, but guys, you left on a 3-fight skid, you're done, blah, blah, blah. You've never come back. If I get a skid now and I retire, listen, I've done it, man. I've been back. I've climbed the mountain again. You know, I've done it before.
Obviously, coaching has been a part of this journey for you throughout. You mentioned in there kind of pumping Johnny Willett up and sending him back out there.
Yeah.
It is a subject that we talk about a lot, myself, some friends of mine, Harry Powell, who has been out to Tristar in the past to train a little bit, of sort of that responsibility in the corner and those decisions in the corner like that, where Johnny Willett comes back and says, hey, my ACL's gone. Or somebody comes back and says, hey, my hand's broken, my arm's broken.
Yeah.
What is the process for you in determining whether we're sending that guy back out there or whether we're living to fight another day? Are there conversations between yourself and your brother of this is the company philosophy, this is the protocol? Is it between yourself and that athlete and the relationship you have with them? How do you come to those decisions?
I mean, for me, it's because I know the guy, the relationship we have. And I used to corner just anybody. When I was young, I was just corner anybody. Now I don't corner just anybody, man. Because I've realized that if you don't know them, you don't train with them, and you don't watch over them, and you don't know what they can take and what they can do, and there's no point of having me in your corner, man. Like if I don't know what your game is and I can't tell you how to work through a problem, you know, in there, or I can't tell what you can handle in terms of injury or durability and things like that, it won't work because my advice is not valid in a way. And Johnny, I knew, like I was telling you, we came up together. Right. Like me and him, I know everything about this guy, you know, and I was making the bet. I felt like the choice that I made, his health was going to be fine for what it was going to be.
Right. And your ACL can't get more torn.
He's not going to get any more torn. And he was the better striker, right? I thought he was going to be safe in there. You know, I knew what he's capable of. And to get that takedown, I believed in it. If I told him there's no choice, I know what he could do, I'm going to put him. If he's the guy that couldn't get that takedown and he's just a striker and he can't shoot, I throw in the towel, man. You know?
Right.
But I know who he is. I know his game. I knew at that time. Now it's different. But at the time, I knew his game A to Z. Right? So you need that type of relationship. That's why it's funny sometimes, like, when, you know, people bash the corner when the corners make a decision. But that corner knows that guy. He should. I don't know about every situation.
Right.
But if that corner knows that guy in and out, what do you have to say, man? The fighter will tell you. Right? The fighter will talk after. The fighter will make the decision after the fact. You know?
Are there times that you see it? I know you watch fights still. You're not just, you know, worry about yourself in the knot. Are there times where you see it where, because I often think, from my experience, limited as it is, with fighters in the heat of the moment, it's going to be difficult for that athlete to come back to the corner and say, you got to get me out of here. Like, I'm done. You guys are built up to not quit. The whole thing is don't quit on yourself. You could go back out here. You could do it again. Are there times where you watch and you see from a look in an eye, from a way a guy's performing,
Yeah.
that this corner should step in, that somebody needs to save this person from themselves, from their own training, from that ideology really of we don't quit, we always fight on.
You know, it's hard for me to judge, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The only time like I feel that way is in amateurs. In the pros, I leave it to their coaches, man. But in the amateurs, like if you've seen me like in Montreal, I go to amateur shows, you know, with the amateur fighters, you know, I go, you know, help out.
Right.
Sometimes I yell, "Stop the fight, man!" Like I want this ref,
Right.
because in the amateurs you see it more when there's a blowout, and
Right.
it's just like the guy's out of his depth, you know.
Right.
But when you're talking UFC, man, it's tough sometimes to make that call if you don't know the guy the way his coaches know, man. And that's why I try not to pass any judgment, like I was saying, because they know him better than me.
Right.
You know, and like I've cornered another guy with Firas, okay? And main event fight, round one, our guy's smoking this guy. Easy, man. Round two, same thing. Comes back, sits in the corner, he's like, "I'm done, throwing the towel." We're like, "What? You didn't even get hit, man. It's been 10 minutes. Like, you know," he's like, no, he's like, "You don't understand, I'm done." He's like, "I have no more cardio." For us, like, you know what, just get in there and survive, man. He went in there, he got beat up for 5 minutes. He had no gas, okay? He survived. The bell rings. He walks over to our corner. He's like, you think I won? I'm like, "Yeah, for sure you won the first 2 rounds, but last one you got beat, you know? He didn't take too much damage, but he got, you know, taken down, whatever, blah, blah, blah." Then they raise his hand. After they raise his hand, he just starts throwing up from nausea, from being so overly exhausted. But he was fine. And he's like, "Yeah, thanks for keeping me in. I'm happy I got the win,
Right.
you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah."
Right.
But round three, he looked like garbage. And I'm sure people probably, you know, if that was on TV, they're probably like, "You know what? Why didn't they stop it? The guy told you, stop the fight.
Right.
I got nothing left, blah, blah, blah." But the guy's a brick house. The guy can take a few shots. Let me tell you, that guy is durable, okay? I've seen that guy spar with David Loiseau, and, you know, he's taking some heavy shots, man. And he's fine. And, you know, because he also smoked the guy was exhausted. So even if the guy got the better of him, the guy didn't have the same mustard on his shots that he had in round one.
Right.
You know? So like you're judging the situation in a way.
Yeah. Well, and it's important for me, and I wanted to ask it, and I'm happy to get the answers that you've provided, because it is a thing that we on the outside talk about regularly, right? It seems like every couple of events we have a moment where it's, this person is clearly hurt. Why are you sending them back out there? They're getting pounded. Why aren't you stopping the fight? Like, why isn't there that intervention? And you're right. It's easy for me to do it sitting here on my couch in Abbotsford when I don't know this man or woman, versus the experience you have or their corner has with that individual, and the understanding they have of, they can get through this. They want to soldier on. So I'm not going to stand in the way of that. Yeah.
And like, you know, it reminds me of Leon Edwards' corner when they told him,
right,
you know, before that kick, stop feeling bad for yourself.
Right.
Get in there. Do it. You know, just go. They like, you know, there's a great book. Okay. It's a must read. Okay. If you want to be any type of leader, or you want to have kids, you know, you have to read a book. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. Okay. And sometimes you look at someone and you know they're not reaching their full potential in this moment, you know, and you know they're capable of so much more, you know, and it hurts inside. It hurts inside when you know someone is so good and they're just not being that good. There's something about it as a coach, as a parent, as you know, like I experience it sometimes with my daughters. Like my daughters, man, sometimes they have these skills that they're so good, but when it's time, I tell them, "Okay, do it now in front of so and so," they don't perform, you know. And obviously now there's no stress on them. Like I don't give them shit or anything, but it's like I know what they're capable of, you know. And then I feel like, you know, like my brother must have that feeling with me and everyone else he trains, you know. And you see it in that moment with Leon's coach. You know, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. Like I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he knew Leon was better than that, you know, and he just wanted Leon to be his best self. And he in that one moment, Leon was open to it. The first 4 rounds, he wasn't open to anything.
Second, third, and fourth, he wasn't very open to much. No,
he wasn't open to much. But we don't know those variables that came in that moment, and he must have heard something that he said that in that moment. Like me and GSP, like I don't know why, Firas talks to me all the time. I talk all the time. I talk about the mental game like you wouldn't believe, man. It's the only thing I talk about, really.
Right.
And it's like you're just not open for everything. Even though somebody's giving you the answer you're looking for, it doesn't register, man. It does not register because you're not ready for it. And those are the things that are beautiful, man. So like coaching is not an easy job, and I know it's hard to understand from the outside, but not too many people are leaders, man. And to be a leader of a gym, sending a soldier into a cage to come out on the other side as a winner, it's not easy either. Like when I go to an event and I'm the coach, I am exhausted, man. I am dead after. My adrenaline dump is massive, man. It is massive. Why? Because I care so much. I want this guy or girl to just be their best. Man. I want them, for them. I want them to be the best for them and not be hurt. So there's a lot of pressure on there, man. So coaches, sometimes they got to make a call,
Right.
And you don't know there's a lot of factors in that call. There's a lot goes into that.
Tougher to be the coach in the corner or the guy in the cage?
Oh, man.
Or just both, very, very different.
They're both hell. It's high risk, high reward job, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's funny because I remember one time, I don't remember who Gordon beat. Okay. I want to say it was Keenan Cornelius, but I'm not sure. I can't remember which guy he beat. Anyways, he beat one guy, and it was like a no time limit match or whatever, and it went on for a long time. Okay, it was like a really long, tough match. It may not be Keenan. I can't remember who it was. And the guy started getting tired. Obviously, it was like an hour in or like 45. It was like a ridiculous amount of time.
Right.
And John said, his limbs are getting longer. Okay, because when you're defending leg locks, okay, the shorter you can make your limb, the easier to escape because you're on the early escape. And John said a couple of times, very low. That's how he talks.
Right.
His limbs are getting longer, Gordon. His limbs are getting longer, and boom, he catches him in a freaking heel hook and taps the guy. And I remember after the aftermath, people were saying, it's not fair having a coach with so much experience, who's seen so much, who knows so much, who's been through so much, it's like, yeah, I mean, it does help, man. Having a great coach makes a difference. Look at the success guys had with Firas, with Greg Jackson, with AKA, with all the, these big gyms, ATT, all these big, all these major gyms, they're major gyms because those coaches are good, man. Henry Hooft, amazing coach. Like a lot of these guys, and there's a reason why they're so good, and there is an advantage, man. There is an advantage. Like, listen, you can come up with a new coach, who could be really good, and he's building his experience with you, and he could take you super far. I'm not saying there's never going to be a new coach, but it helps. It helps.
It certainly helps. Who is the next name to watch out for from the Tristar Gym in Montreal?
I mean, from what level, man? There's a lot. We got every level.
Well, let's drop out some killers. Let's start prepping some people for these names that they're gonna have to track.
Well, listen, like now that Mandel's released by Bellator, and I feel like in a one more fight, maybe he might be in the UFC. Like, don't be surprised to see Mandel coming up soon in the UFC, which I think would be great for him. Like, his whole thing now is about getting consistency, and Bellator doesn't have as many shows as the UFC.
Right. So
I'm really hoping that he gets another big knockout. He's known for KOs. He's known for all his wins are by finish. So I'm hoping he gets in. We got Alex Morgan. He just got another knockout. He's fighting tonight. Hopefully he gets another knockout, gets in the UFC. Xavier Louis. Got Louis Samodakis coming up. And let's say if you go deeper into the roster, we've got a guy coming up. His name is Steve. I don't want to say too much. I don't put too much pressure on him. But he's going to be really great. And he's going to probably hear this interview. And, Steve, it's time to leave boxing. He's not sure about going pro in MMA.
Okay.
He's really he's still rounding, he wants to do boxing fights. He wants to kickboxing fights and blah, blah, blah. He's still in that phase, but I'm telling you, Steve, you're ready. You're ready.
Okay.
And we have a lot of good guys. We have Frédéric Duprat. He's like the champion at Samurai at 145. You got Mick Dufour. We got a lot of good guys coming up,
I gotcha. You have a fight coming up as well out here, Vancouver, British Columbia, June 10th against a Ricky Ling. What were your thoughts so what is the process for you? Because obviously everybody's process of hearing about, hey, I've finally got a fight is different. Yeah. How's it work for you? Who do they reach out to, you or for us?
Well, this time it was different because now after my last fight with Ricky, I ended up signing with Danny
Right,
Rubin.
you're with Danny Rube.
Yeah, so I was a free agent, and then boom, I ended up signing with after Ricky, and he just texted me. He's like, "Oh, we got offered one name." He's like, "This is the name. Let me know what you think." I said, "Okay." So I watched a few fights. I liked it. Sent it to Firas. Firas watched a few fights. Sent it to some of the boys. Okay, yeah, we'll take it. That's it. I mean, like, it's super simple. We answered back same day, just like a few hours later or whatever.
Right.
And then I waited to hear back from them because I don't know how it works if like when they give me a name if they've already said yes or they're like just pitching the idea to both
Right.
of us. Like I don't know
Right.
that part. So then I just waited to hear back, and then eventually we heard back. I think it was like, like 4 days later, because it was like they gave it to me like just before an event. Like I think I heard on a Thursday or Friday maybe. So they told me they're like, yeah, maybe you'll hear after the event. So okay, so then like Monday or Tuesday they told me, okay, yeah, it's on.
I got you.
So,
The matchup. You said you sit and watch a few things, and Faraz watches a few things. The boys watch a few things.
and we're like, yeah, okay, we'll take it. Because
Everybody,
like when they offer one name, it's hard to say no.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they offer, like sometimes not they offer. Sometimes they tell me, oh, okay, look, we got these three
We got these three guys.
these three guys, or whatever. Like it's happened to me. Yeah, I've gotten three, and it's happened to me where I've gotten one. And yeah, so this is the second time I've gotten one. And then the first time I got one, like my daughters were going to be born like that next couple of days.
Right.
And we had I wanted to take it, but I was like, no, it's not worth it. You're not gonna sleep, whatever, blah blah. He's like, 2 kids, it's crazy. He's like, one, okay, twins, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Right.
So I was like, okay, so I didn't take that one. But like this time, we watched it. It was like, you know what, we're gonna step up and do it.
It's been another not long break, but it's been another break. It's been another stretch of months here between fights.
Yeah.
Just a timing thing, just a waiting on an opportunity thing. Just as we talked about earlier, nothing serious, just
nothing
you were
serious.
able to pick your spots.
Yeah, nothing serious. It was just this is the way the cookie crumbled this time around. No big deal. I'm excited though about winning it. Like winning 3 in a row. I'm sure it's gonna be something nice to do. I'm hoping it is. We don't know if it's gonna come. If it comes, fantastic. If it doesn't, at least I'm gonna show out. I'm going in there to show out. I've been working hard this last year. Things have been going really well. I love, being in training camp. I love doing what I do, and I'm really looking to show people how much I love it by doing a great performance.
Are there benefits to you? Is there not necessarily extra excitement, but is fighting at home, is fighting in Canadian soil, is it a positive for you? Is it a thing you look forward to? You haven't fought out here before.
Not in Vancouver, no.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's great because I would love to build a Canadian fan base. I just feel like I don't have a huge Canadian fan base. I would like to grow it. I love being, a Canadian. I think it's the best country. I love growing up here. It's like a great life. There's nothing better. And even the snow, man. I don't mind the snow as much. For everything we get, I love it out here. I don't think I'll ever move. I don't think I'll ever move. It's beautiful out here, and I'm just hoping to really resonate with the fans. Get a win or a loss, doesn't matter. Hopefully they love me for who I am and what the results are. I hope to build a great fan base, but in the end, I'm just fighting the man. Like I don't mean this as an insult to whatever, but like I'm just fighting Eric Lang. Like the venue where it is,
right?
I have to fight this guy. Like I remember when Ricky during our fight the last time, in between rounds, he told the fans, like, "Give me your energy," and it ended up being like a Dragon Ball reference. I didn't catch in the moment, but in the moment, I was just like, "Man, they're not fighting for you, bro."
Right.
Just focused on me because I'm focused on you, type thing. So
what is it like in there with Ricky Tercios? Because I would imagine like watching it on TV. Yeah. Every time I've watched him fight, I just think this has got to be a little bit weird, a little bit distracting, a little bit annoying, probably. Like, what was that experience like?
It wasn't annoying. Great guy. I love Ricky. He's super great guy. And what it was, it just threw me off because like I was so rigid in my game plan. Like to come into had like certain things that I expected that he would do and whatever, and like he ended up fighting me like a Bobby Green, like like slipping and moving and a lot of fake and stuff, but like less in the pocket, like less exchanges. But I mean, like defensively, he was very slippery, and I didn't expect that at all because you look at his last couple of fights, nothing like that.
Yeah, brawls. Yeah, runs into the pocket and says, "Let's go."
So that's why I got ready for hell. And when it didn't happen, and then he started jumping and spinning and screaming, I was like, "Oh man, I've been knocked out one spinning elbow. I ain't getting knocked out by another spinning elbow. Ain't no low probability, 2% chance bullshit happening tonight, man. Right? We're gonna be classic, make him miss, make him pay. See what works. Okay, you're slipping with your head. Okay, I'm gonna kick you in the leg, man. I kick you in the leg all night, man. Give me your head. I kicked him in the leg till he started giving me his head. Then I started with jabs and hooks and whatnot, you know. But like, you know, like I've gotten in my own way enough times, type deal. Like I'm not gonna get in my own way again, you know. So I was telling myself, if I don't make a mistake, he's not beating me with this stuff.
Right.
You know?
How good does it feel to be at that point? We talked about the
Yeah.
2 years of mental hell
Yeah.
and the overall journey. How
Yeah.
good does it feel to be 35, 2-fight winning streak,
Yeah.
able to sit there and talk to yourself in the midst of the fire?
Yeah.
That, hey, I'm not going to get in my own way. I
Yeah.
know how good I am. I can just do these things and I'm going to get my hand raised.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth, man. It's you know, I don't want to be overconfident going into this one. That's my bigger struggle now. Because like now I feel like I've got momentum. You know, like people make fun of me when I say that because you know I fight once a year. But to me, it doesn't like
Right.
It's
doesn't
like,
change as you're on a 2-fight winning streak.
Doesn't matter, man. Even when I won the first fight against Draco, like my comeback fight, I mean, like, and it took me a year to get back in there because of whatever. I still feel like I had momentum. Why? Because I'm in the gym believing it. I'm in the gym living the momentum. I'm working. Like I'm working towards that goal, man. When the fight comes, it will come. I will be ready. You know, and you know, in my opinion, like if you look at my fights, like I don't know, like my opponents probably do. And when they look at my last 4 or 5 fights now, I change every time, man. You know, I have some signature stuff, but the base of the game changes, man. You know, and I find like it makes it hard for them to adapt. You know, and so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to be. I like to keep the question mark going, which is nice.
So not to give away the state secrets in the game plan, but we see more changes on June 10th. Man.
You know, that's what I love about Firas. You know, for us, you know, it's funny because we call him Pipe May. You know, he's a master, right? But he's a student of the game, and you know, I love this format, by the way, because we can go in depth into some answers.
Yeah. This is,
you know. So let me know if I'm talking too long.
No. This is the purpose of this show. Okay. So I'm always appreciative of any time I get with an athlete or a coach or whoever it may be.
Yeah.
But I always feel like when we're doing it fight week, when we're doing it in the midst of something else, we're kind of confined. And there's usually 2 or 3 things that I want to go on tangents and I want to get deep into stuff. And so we came up with this concept and it was just like, look, I just want to, I want to talk about everything. I want people to get to know the guests more because that's part of it for me too. Like there are people on here that I don't actually know. Yeah. And I just sit down and we go, okay, here's the research I've done.
Yeah.
Let's unpack. So have at it. So there's no time limit on this.
Yeah. So like for us, basically he's our Pai Mei. Okay. He's a master, true master of the game. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got a karate black belt and the GSP honorary black belt, just like me. You know, he's a Muay Thai Canadian champ. He's MMA champ. He's Pan-Asian champion. He's wrestling provincial champion, 2 weight classes. He's amazing at all the elements of MMA. Okay, master of everything. But he loves to learn the modern game. He is a student of the new game as well. Like he's always adding to the game. He's always adding to the puzzle. We're not one of those gyms that's still doing the same moves that we did 15 years ago. Actually, we've thrown out so much stuff, man. Like we've thrown out so much jiu-jitsu. Like if you like, I look back at my youth and I can't believe how long we did some of that stuff for, man. Some of that stuff, man. You know, it wasn't working, and we're like, man, we gotta make it work because our you know, these guys are telling us it works, and now it's not even a question that we don't even show the new guys. Now they get to black belts much faster than us because they ain't going through a bunch of, you know, stuff that doesn't work. I don't want to say BS because, you know, those guys were teaching us what they knew. Those guys were teaching us what they thought was best. But now jiu-jitsu has really opened up to the world, and there is a new game in town, and you got to learn that new game. And I'll give you a beautiful example, okay? I'll give you a beautiful example. Volkanovski, man, okay? When he was getting ready to fight Islam Makhachev, you know what I mean? You know what he did? He brought in someone of the modern game. He brought in Craig Jones, man.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, genius.
So I can tell you right now that my guy, Harry Powell, who I used to do a show with every week, when he hears this, is going to just have like a freak out moment because this is one of his points for this year. Is that fight changed the MMA game. Yeah. And Alex using Craig Jones and using modern BJJ
Yeah.
as a means to combat modern wrestling and Islam's approaches and all of those things is going to end up being a generational shift. So you're steering into what he loves.
But it's not a generational shift because unfortunately GSP did it first. Okay. GSP used to fly in anybody and everybody that was gonna make a difference. And that's something that TriStar believes in and that other teams should believe in. Because you know what? Don't walk around with a full cup. You need to walk around with an empty cup. You know what I mean? Like you go somewhere, you better be a student. Like me, like look, I'm 35, okay? And when I go to the Montreal Wrestling Club and the guys on the national team, I wrestle with them and they're 25, okay? They're on the national team, they're 25. And when they give me advice, I say, yes, sir. And they tell me, hey, oh, no. You don't have to say yes, sir. He's like, you're 35. He's like, you have wife and kids. He's like, you don't got time. Like, no, man. When I come here, I'm an empty cup. You know, you're teaching me, man. You're teaching me. You know, so you have to always be a student. You have to always be a student. That's something for us. And even GSP to this day, he's still a student, man. GSP is a master of the game, too. He's a master of everything. But does he learn from the new guys, man? Yeah, because the new guys are coming up with the new stuff.
Right.
You know, you got to teach them. You got to teach them what works. They're gonna take what works and they're gonna multiply it, man. And that's the truth. That's what happened with me. Like when I was young, you know, obviously for us spending a lot of time with me, like we're working on stuff, and I got better than some of the guys who were before me. Right? I didn't have their experience, man. So I would help them with their stuff, and they would teach me the tricks of the trade.
Right.
They would teach me the small modifications of the stuff that they know and what we're working on and what really works in a fight, what doesn't work. There is always a back and forth. You know, the old generation has to help the new generation, and then the new generation will eventually be the old, man. And you got to stay young in your mind. You know, you can't get old in your mind. And that's the truth. And so, like, for me, when I watch the Volkanovski fight, it's so funny because a lot of the stuff they did, we do, right? We do, right? Because we're from John Danaher too, right? Yep. And Craig trained a lot with John and the Death Squad and all those guys. And Ethan Cranston is part of the B team. He's one of our guys, man. Like we get the ins and outs of what they do, you know. So it's funny because we were training all that stuff and we're seeing it work on Islam Makhachev, man. It works. Some of that stuff works. What we do works on Islam Makhachev. It could work on that guy. And Volkanovski's a 145 champion, and he went up to 155, and it's working on Islam. That's really testing what we do, you know. So you know, in life, there's two types of experience, man. There's direct and indirect. And that indirect experience through Volkanovski gives me the confidence that what I do works because he did it on the best. Islam is the best, right? He made that fight close, real close, too close.
Great fight.
Great fight. You know, love Islam too. I think they're both fantastic, you know, and like it just goes to show that if you have the right key to unlock a door, you ain't getting choked when somebody gets on your back. You know what I mean? You'll make it out. You'll live again. You'll fight another round. You know, so that's the atmosphere we have, and like you know, we're lucky at TriStar to have the role models like Firas and GSP. That you know, even now in their 40s,
you say that like 40 years old. Come on now.
No, not that they're old, but that like they don't look down on learning.
Right.
New. How many guys do you know that are in their 40s are open to learning something new?
The only one I can worry about is the one sitting across from you, and I'm out here doing a YouTube show now after years of not wanting to do this. So I'm still learning.
Yeah,
I appreciate that adaptation mindset as well.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's the growth mindset. That's what it is.
So one of the things we've talked about throughout this conversation, and I do appreciate your time doing it, we'll get wrapping up here shortly, is that you're still obviously pursuing the fighting career itself, stepping in the cage.
Yeah.
But you're still a coach. It's obviously going to be the next step whenever that comes.
Yeah.
Do you map out a when? Do you think of a when? How do you make that decision? Or is it just a feel thing? Or is it maybe when the biggest sponsor goes, okay, we need you home a little more?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because right now, like, I don't feel like I'm super close. Maybe 3 years. I don't know. But I feel great, man. Right now.
Yeah, I'm not trying to usher you out the door.
I know.
36, 37 in November, but
no, 36 in November.
36 in November. Listen,
I still like tell my wife I'm in my mid 30s for now. Okay, November comes, we're in our late 30s. But right now, I'm mid 30s, man.
Listen, my wife looks at me, and when I turned 40, she said, "You're halfway to 80." I turn 45 in October, and I guarantee you that morning she will look at me and be like, man, you're halfway to 90.
Well, you know, I
Still feel young. Still
still
feel good.
25, man. I feel good. I feel like things are great. I mean, you know, see how this fight goes, but I feel fantastic. I feel really, really good about
For
it.
sure.
I feel really good, you know, and like that like I was telling you about that book, Psycho-Cybernetics. I just want to feel the right amount of good and not too good, and blind myself and not good enough, you know. So that's what I'm, you know, that's my thing for the next 2 weeks, and we'll know on June 10th where I came up on that, you know.
Well, listen, I'm super excited that I get to be at one of your fights. First time I will see you compete. First time in a long time that I get to see you in person, because I haven't been traveling and the world was shut down for a couple
Yeah,
of
it was
years and things
brutal.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I appreciate you jumping in here. I appreciate you giving of your time like this. Before I do let you go,
Yeah.
and before we get to how everybody can follow you, you mentioned earlier trying to make the Joe Beef reservation.
Yes, let them know, man.
What's the menu? What's the order? What are we?
Oh my God, you know,
What's tempting you right now? What is, if you get the rezo, and we'll try to make sure, we'll try however we can. We'll talk to whoever. I mean, I don't know a lot of people in Montreal.
I might have to call Olivier Aubin-Mercier for this one.
But we got one bone on here. They're Montreal boys. We got some other people that you could reach out to.
I gotta call the Montreal gangster.
Yeah. What would be the order?
We're obviously gonna get the lobster pasta. It's incredible. I'm gonna get the steak. I'm gonna get the bone marrow. I'm gonna get the seafood platter. We're gonna go all out.
We're going big. We're going team
big.
Dinner.
Whatever they have on dessert that night, we're getting a few of them.
We're getting a couple.
Yeah. We're gonna go big. I love it. The food's great. Service is fantastic. So we're gonna try to get a chance to go there.
I'm sure they will find a way to get you a table, get you in there. Hopefully it is off a victory. Hopefully it is off a third straight win. Aiemann Zahabi, before I let you go, let people know how to follow you, where they can follow you. Pay attention to everything you've got going on. The floor is yours.
Guys, check me out on Instagram at Aiemann Zahabi. That's where I do my most, all my social media posts. Everything is mostly done there. I don't really go on Facebook much. So Instagram, and hopefully, Spencer, you're gonna cut some of these will be
clipped,
and we can co-post, or
will be clipped. There will be collaborations.
Guys, you can find the clips on my Instagram.
All right. For Aiemann, I am Spencer. This has been a conversation with. We'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.